Welcome to Bridging Chicago, a podcast that aims to connect our listeners to Chicago's business, community, cultural, and charity leaders.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Bridging Chicago podcast. I'm Nathan, your host, and we're really excited to continue in season 7. Be sure to go to www.bridgingchicago.com to check out all of our episodes, including our prior season 6 episodes, and here leading up to season 7 as we close out the year here at Bridging Chicago. Today, I'm really excited to be joined by Ivan Vislavskiy of Comrade Digital Marketing Agency. Ivan, thanks so much for joining me today. We've been talking for a while, and really interesting story that you have. And I think we could talk about a million things, but we always start with your Chicago story. So why don't you tell us your Chicago story, what brought you here, what you enjoy about this city, and then sort of what life is like now.
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure being on your podcast. I guess let me go back all the way about 20 or so years ago. I immigrated to the U.S. when I was 19 in the pursuit of big American dream. Right? A lot of people talk about it. Yeah. Not a lot of people actually know what it is. Yeah. I've been there. I've done it. I lived through it. It's awesome. So I immigrated from Russia. And, at the age of 19, I didn't land specifically in Chicago right away. I went to upstate New York. I bounced around a little bit. I then moved to Florida and then Massachusetts. And then finally, because one of my friends was living here, I was like, Chicago should be a big enough city. I haven't been here before. Yeah. And supposedly there should be a lot of opportunities because, for instance, in Florida, it was just dead, completely dead at that moment. And then in the Massachusetts area, it was also like not very, you can't really develop yourself that much. So I moved to Chicago. I was maybe 20, 21 at that point, and I instantly fell in love with Chicago because it was just such a great city. It's got it all. Beautiful, lake, beautiful river, and most of all, there's just so much business to have. And I knew that eventually I would have my own business. I would go into developing something on my own. I didn't have an idea at that point, but it just felt like there's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, Chicago definitely does lend itself to opportunity, and I think also a lot of cultures coming together here. I think the Midwestern vibe coupled with the big city really allows people to express who they are, but still gives you a little bit of that security that like there's industry here, there's things to do. You don't feel like you're out in the middle of nowhere, even though like in terms of the landscape, you kind of are.
Chicago is great. When it comes to things to do here, you can always find something. Yeah. Which is, I was never bored here. Yeah. Now, a little disclaimer, I just moved to Florida not too long ago. Been here for 18 or so years, but I still call Chicago my true home. The reason I moved, we're expanding as a company. We had a little small presence in Florida, and I felt like if I would move myself, we can give it a much bigger push, and we can start conquering other markets. So now we have our main business is still in Chicago. Our headquarters is still in Chicago. Most of our employees, most of our team is here. and we have small satellite offices in LA and Miami. So I'm currently in charge of growing our Miami presence.
So you're growing the Miami presence, doing the digital marketing.
Mm-hmm.
What made you interested in digital marketing, and what made that the field that you thought you could get in and impact and grow and create this business in?
Sure, if I may just go back again. So my journey started working as a developer. I graduated, with a degree of computer science and technology. So I always knew how to program software, websites, and so on. And I went to work for a small Chicago-based shop called Cherry Web.
Mm-hmm.
And this was right around 2007, 2008. So I joined them as a developer, and about 2 months, maybe 3 months into it, I was let go with 5, 6 other people because things were going very rough at that point.
Okay.
Recession was rolling. There were no new clients. So it was still an experience. It didn't take me long to find another job. And I've been bouncing around different agencies, working my way from just a front-end developer into a back-end developer, and then going all the way to project manager. And at the same time, I started having conversations with my friends community, asking me to build a website for them, for their boss and so on. And that's where the Comrade Digital Marketing Agency was incepted, with the desire to help my local community. Okay. And as we started building websites, we realized that what then? I mean, you build a website, but the business is not going to grow with just having a website. You have to market it. Yeah. And that's where we introduced marketing services. This was probably around 2011. Okay. And ever since, we've been focusing on helping small businesses grow with the power of digital marketing. We specifically chose small businesses because as I bounced around different agencies, I often focused that small businesses were overlooked, even though small businesses are the backbone of this economy, right? Yeah. Chicago thrives on small businesses. For sure. But all the agencies just want to focus on much larger business because that's where the big checks are. Yeah. And small companies are always overlooked. So when I started this agency together with my business partner, we specifically went on a mission. We even wrote it in our business plan that we'll focus on small businesses. Huh.
So when you bring people into this, when you hire employees or you're talking to clients, that focus on small business, I assume that's something that that has to be one of the early focuses. It has to be when you bring in people in, interviewing them, let's say, maybe you're looking for an employee. Is it something that you communicate pretty much right away? Is like, this is our focus. We are here to help. We are here to provide guidance. And not to say that profits aren't number one, but helping, it seems like, is really important to you. And finding people who also want to help has to be then really important.
100% agree, Nathan. When we talk to our potential newcomers, we pitch them the same way we pitch our clients. We tell them our story. We tell them this is what we're really passionate about. This is what we're trying to do. Now, does this resonate with you or not? And we're trying to look for that same energy. And, we did have, to your point, we did have some potential employees that came to us from much larger agencies. Now they worked on big accounts, Coca-Cola, whatever. You're not going to be able to do what you've done for Coca-Cola here at Comrade because it's completely different. At Comrade, we truly change lives. Mm-hmm. We impact the businesses, and therefore we impact the lives of our business owners, all the employees at the company that we work with, and their families and so on. It's amazing. Yeah. And when you work for Coca-Cola, you mostly impact the manager that hired you. Yeah. So,
well, and it sounds like it's something that this business model would impact your family as well. Something that your family would really have to be on board with. What was the support from your family in this process? What did that look like, and how has that changed over time as the company has grown?
Absolutely. My wife was always very supportive of this initiative. She even worked at our agency for maybe 3 or 4 months, helping us with bookkeeping and accounting and so on, until I told her, look, either you're going to go and look for another job or just sit at home and don't work here, because what it was, we would have constant conversations over dinner about clients, jobs, issues, and so on. It was super tiring. So after that, she's very, very helpful. She's very, very much into it, and she's asking me when she feels like it's the right time to ask how things are going. And when she sees that I'm not happy about something, she would just give me a hug. Specifically asking, what is it, honey? How can I help? Oh, she can't really help. Right. Give me a hug. That's the biggest help you can give me.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. I think that sometimes we can forget that the best thing that we can do is to just be there, to have a presence. And in entrepreneurship, where like the roller coaster is so tough and the impact is so much greater, and every employee really of that company would feel it much more directly. It can be hard to know how to support and what to do there. As you kind of make management decisions or business decisions, knowing that it can impact the entire business and everyone that works for you, how do you go about making the big decisions and being the person where it's like there isn't someone behind you? It's you that has to stand up there and say, here's what we're going to do, here's how we're going to move forward, knowing that it's going to impact everything that's, underneath you, really.
Yeah, great question, Nathan. Well, I'm very happy that we have an amazing team behind us. Mm-hmm. They're very supportive. Mm-hmm. They trust us. They trust all of our strategic decisions. I'm lucky to have an amazing business partner. Mm-hmm. Together we'll make all the major decisions that are impacting the agency and the lives, and everything else that's connected to our team. But usually we would communicate why, the context behind it, right? Okay. I know a lot of business owners, what they would do is, here's an email, here's a press release, we're changing the strategy, or from now on, we're doing so and so. And that's it. Take it or leave it, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. We're not like that. We treat our company, we treat our team members, we'll never call them employees, by the way. We treat our team members as our family, as like a very tight, very close culture. Yeah. We have amazing culture, by the way. We just had a team outing last night. It was amazing, just having, sharing the stories and remembering how much we went through as a team. So nonetheless, we would always bring them in, would always explain them why we're making this decision and how it's going to impact us and make us better, as a better agency. And sometimes they don't completely understand it yet, just because they don't have the entire visibility, right? Because they're just, let's say they're doing a specific part of the job, they don't see everything, the big picture. Yeah. But sometimes we just explain them that, look, this is necessary, trust us. It's probably going to take us a year to recover from this, but in the long run, we're here not to make, big impacts today. Yeah. We're here to grow it into a much, much, much larger agency. We have very big inspirational goals. Yeah. So this will be very beneficial for all of us, and they trust us.
I think that is one of the really important things, what you said there, because I've seen myself go through that in the company that I work for, is that, when you kind of start there, you start thinking about the short term. You think about how, like, I have this thing to do and I want to do that well because I want them to say, great job on that, here's the next thing. And then as you go on, you start to look more long term and you start to see how it impacts the company over a longer period of time. And I think you do kind of approach those things differently. You do approach that work differently, and you approach the way that you work with other people differently mm-hmm. when you have that mindset. Mm-hmm.
Extremely, extremely important. And, there's also, we never cut corners. That's one of our decisions from the get-go, from, when we start the company. We never do any shady, risky moves, even though we can probably make a lot of money, in some areas. But we understand it's not sustainable, and we need to build a sustainable company. Mm. And eventually, it's gonna blow up, right? Like if you're doing something unethical, someone is gonna find out, right. And you're not gonna be able to grow the company that way.
For companies that are small, small businesses that are kind of doing the in-house marketing thing. They're handling everything on their own. They're creating their own Instagram posts, and they're handling all their own social media. And they say, like, it's working fine. I've got as much business as I can handle, whatever. I feel like I'm doing all right with it as it is. What would you say to those companies about making that leap to like having someone like Comrade or someone else sort of help with that, come alongside that, take some of that weight and kind of reimagine what digital marketing looks for them?
Absolutely. So it really depends on the company, their stage, their resources, ability to invest, and so on. If it's an early company and their resources are limited, I think it's essentially important, extremely important to invest in as fewer areas as you can.
Mm.
Some companies would try to do too much at the same time.
Yeah.
But not going deep enough.
Yeah.
That's not going to give you anything, because there's such a huge competition right now. Any sector you look into, right? Like, there are a lot of companies do what you do, and some of them are much larger. Some of them have much more resources. They invest in marketing a lot more than you do.
Yeah.
So I would pick maybe 2 or 3 areas where you've seen success previously, or where you believe you can have success. Maybe by analyzing what others have done, and using this experience. And then I would try and seek for professional help, not in terms of, you might not be ready to hire a marketing agency. Maybe you just don't have the funds yet, but at least seek out for someone that can, share with you their wisdom. Like, we as an agency, sometimes a potential client would come to us with specific challenge, and they would explain everything to us. But we're not going to be a good fit for them because they're not ready yet. They don't have this financial commitment, so on. So we would just provide them with our opinion. Like, here's what we would do if we were you. It doesn't cost anything. Just go out, look on LinkedIn and find, maybe marketing people that specialize in your industry specifically, that have done that. Interview them. And it's amazing how much information you can gather this way. And then you can start implementing it. And when, once you grow, then absolutely look for professionals, that can help you improve your marketing game, because without professionals, you can only go as far. It's, if trying to compete with larger brands that hire marketing agencies, you're not going to be able to compete, because it's like, I'll give you a very good analogy. I play hockey myself, but I'm okay. I play in the beer league, right?
Okay.
Imagine me going, together or going against an NHL player. I mean, I'm going to get my ass kicked, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to go far. So it's impossible, right? Because they've been trained all their life. Yeah. So same thing, same analogy.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I play volleyball, and like when you go higher and higher, it's like, well, if I'm playing like just open gym, I can hit at the net. If I'm playing against, I'm like, I'll hang out here in the back because I'm much shorter than.
And you're probably doing okay for your level.
Yeah.
And you should be happy with your level, which is awesome. Like the idea is to enjoy the game, right? But you're just not going to be able to win the tournament. And when you are in charge of your business, I always compare business with sport, right? Our objective is to win the tournament.
Yeah.
We start out small. Let's say it's still like it's a team, but it's a local village team that plays against other villages. Your goal is to gradually increase your game so that you can compete at the city level, and then state level, country level, and then go to Olympics. You're not going to get there if you don't have right individuals on your team, right coaches, right general managers, and so on.
Well, I think it's also about celebrating the little wins, the incremental wins, because I think a lot of times we focus on, when we get there, but not realizing that, these 1,000 steps that it took to get to that next level were all necessary and good, and those were wins as well.
100%, and I'm guilty of it myself. I mean, I shared my American dream story, and even though someone would look back and say, wow, this is an amazing journey. You can probably write a book right now. But part of me says, no, this is not enough.
Yeah.
I see myself up here. Mm-hmm. You're still here. Mm-hmm. So what are you doing? Let's go.
Yeah.
Fire it up.
Understood. You talked a little bit about the future, about where you want the company to go, but what are you really hopeful for the future of Comrade Digital Marketing Agency? Where are you really excited to go, and maybe even for the industry as it shifts? Like, how are you shifting along with that?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we have very huge aspirational goals. We want to be $100 million agency. Mm-hmm. Not many agencies in our space that work specifically with small businesses reach that size.
Okay.
And there are only few that are that big.
Yeah.
The caveat here is when we reach that size, not if, but when, we still have to provide amazing client results and amazing client experience. That's given. Like, otherwise, you can cut a lot of corners, you can grow to the size, but you're not going to feel really good about what you're doing. Right now, I can say with all honesty that most of our clients are super happy to call us friends, mm-hmm. to call us true marketing partners. So I want to keep that feeling. I want to keep us, keep the same momentum. I want us to feel proud for what we do, and help small businesses impact their lives, impact lives of their team members, of their families, and of the community, right? That they're part of. Because I think it all comes down together. If we can help them, they can help others, and it's our way to give back to a community.
It's all very exciting, and I think that when you hear someone say, as we grow, we want to keep the family value, we want to keep the expectation, but as we've seen, especially we were talking about this earlier with even just like food delivery and stuff, it's like the expectations seem to balloon. I mean, they really just seem to grow and grow and grow, where it's so hard to meet that standard. And I think as you grow as a company, that can be even more difficult, because as you get more clients, as you add to the menu or do whatever you do, it becomes harder to do that. So I think based on that model, and based on your desire to work with small companies and small businesses who are sort of making that leap into, okay, I'm ready to hand this off to someone else. What do you tell your team members? Like, what's first in their minds about being that friend and that marketing partner that you have had success with? Because I think that's where I'm like, that's a great, concept, and it's a great, I love that you're focused on that, but the execution of that seems to be really hard for a lot of these companies.
Very hard. Not gonna lie, it takes us time and time and time to revise our process, mm-hmm. understand what we can, what parts of our process can be improved, so we can continue delivering even better experience. Because, like you mentioned, it's all about better and better experience. There are a lot of expectations from any of us. Mm-hmm. Professional service companies, we're always under scrutiny, right? Mm-hmm. There's so much competition they can do. That promise, we will do better, we'll deliver more. Trust us, and you'll get whatever X more of this or of that. So to us, it's very, very important that we have the objectives straight. From the very get-go, we asked our clients, how would you like this relationship to go? Where do you see us in the year from today? Like, how would you want us to, sit at this table and talk to each other? Mm-hmm. Are we friends? What kind of objectives are we hitting? Let's talk about sales. Yeah. And then we can drill down. We're very, very performance driven. So we always try to go from the top level, right? Like, let's talk about your sales objectives. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's dive deep. Okay, what does it mean? How many marketing qualified leads do you need to close to get this many clients? All right, wonderful. How many of them do you need to get from different channels? What are you currently getting? What channels are you currently using? Is it referral mostly? Does your website work right now? It doesn't. Okay, then we need to start there, and so on. And so we write down that objective and we focus on it. We create a plan going backwards of what incremental achievements or milestones we need to hit in order to hit this big objective.
Yeah.
And then we create a plan that's, that highlights or that encompasses this growth. And then the tasks, we assign teams, and so on, so on, so on. So it's extremely difficult, extremely hard to get to this level, right? When you're trying to promise them something, you're putting yourself on the line.
Yeah.
And if you didn't achieve results, which sometimes we do, because in marketing we work, in competition. There's competition factor. There's factor of market conditions. You're not in vacuum. You constantly, things constantly change. Yeah. It's like trying to predict stock market. Well, good luck with that. I mean, there's so many MBA, talented people that are sitting there. It's their entire job to predict the stock market, but it's still, But the main idea is it goes up, right?
Right.
Over time. So going back to your original question, we trained our team members, especially our account managers that are face of our company, to be friends, to be true partners. We train them to truly understand what's going on in lives and in the business of our clients. What bothers them? Is there anything we can help? Maybe not with our own service, but maybe we have another client that does something that would be beneficial for our clients, and so on. So this constant, desire to help them, constant desire to make them as a better business, I guess that helps along the way.
Yeah, well, I feel like we have to talk before we finish about social media. Totally changed the game, obviously. You gotta be in there and be a part of it. It's some people see it as a necessary evil. Some people love it. But what's your company's focus on social or take on social media, and how have you grown based on like the changes that social media has really like made on the whole world, really?
Sure. So social media is an amazing channel, but it's not going to work for every client in every industry. We as a agency, about 3 or 4 years ago, we started focusing heavily on local service businesses.
Okay.
Predominantly, we help law firms, home service, and healthcare industries.
Okay.
Those are the main 3 niches that we decided to focus on. When we analyzed where the main potential clients are coming from, which channels, we quickly saw that the 2 main sectors are search engine optimization. When someone is Googling for services, right?
Yeah.
That's where the majority of the business comes from.
Okay.
Then paid search. And paid search could be on Google, and it could be on Facebook or other social platforms like LinkedIn and so on. And then there's there are things like email marketing and just the typical social media where you upload posts and stories and so on and so on. So we try to analyze it from this perspective. How can we get our clients as much business as possible?
Okay.
And that's where we decided to pay not a lot of attention to social media. We still do it, but we've mostly focused on things that generate the most results.
Okay.
Now, if you were in beauty industry, for instance, or in the product-led business, then absolutely social media would be our number 1 choice for you as a client, right? Because that's how this information is consumed nowadays. Yeah. But when you're looking for a lawyer, you're not going to go on Facebook or Instagram, for that matter, and look for, let's say you have an injury. You're not going to go on Instagram and look for a personal injury attorney. Yeah. What are you going to do? You're going to go on Google.
Yeah.
Your friends probably don't know a really good personal injury either, right? I mean, it's such a rare case.
Yeah.
So you would go on Google, you would search up, and you would compare different personal injury attorneys, and you would pick from Google search, and you would call them up. Same goes for home services. With home services, yes, there's more aspect of, if let's say some of our clients provide remodeling, or they build beautiful kitchens, so on.
Mm-hmm.
There's absolutely this additional aspect of social media. You have to focus more on it as opposed to with lawyers.
Yeah.
No one wants to see a story or a post from personal injury attorney. Like, who would want to see that, right?
Yeah.
But if it's a remodeling company, a construction company, and they've just done an amazing house, it looks fantastic. Yeah, I'd love to see it in my feed.
Yeah.
So that's why you have to treat it differently depending on what you do, depending on who your client is. First and foremost, you have to understand your clientele. Who is your ideal client profile, ICP, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how do they make buying decisions?
Mm.
That's where I would start. And then knowing that, I would try to reverse engineer their buying decision.
Yeah. I feel like you've given us a lot to think about, which is great. People have heard this and they want to get in contact with Comrade Digital Marketing Agency. They want to learn more. Where can they go to learn more about you, learn more about the company, connect with you guys? Sure.
You can always visit our website, www.comradeweb.com. There's E at the end of word comrade. Some people actually misspell it.
Yeah.
And you can also send an email directly to me, ivan@comradeweb.com. Even if you have any marketing questions or you have any questions about just entrepreneurial journey, I'm happy to help back the community that I been part of. And I wish I had the resource when I was 19, 20, 21.
Yeah.
I wish it came to me to talk to someone, reach out to other people that done that and ask them a series of questions.
Yeah.
I wish I could talk to myself, 20 years ago and ask, hey, Ivan, I run a small, tiny agency. We're only 3, full-time team members. How do we go from here?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure there would be a lot of people that would be happy to help me.
Yeah, for sure. And you never know until you ask. People are always willing to help, but you usually have to ask.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here. It's been very helpful, very informative, which has been great. Loved hearing your story. And we will make sure to link all your information on the website. So again, you can go to www.bridgingchicago.com to find all the ways to not only watch the episodes, but to connect with Ivan and his team at Comrade. So be sure you go there. Thanks again for joining us. And of course, we want to thank our listeners as we wrap up season 7 and get ready for next year with season 8. It's been really exciting, and we really appreciate your time and your being here.
Thanks, Nathan. It was a great conversation. I really enjoyed it as well.
So did we. So we hope you did as well, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Bridging Chicago podcast.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Bridging Chicago, as produced by the SATC Solutions Center. Nothing contained in this podcast shall constitute financial, investment, legal, and/or professional advice. No professional relationship of any kind is created between you and the podcast host or guest. You are urged to speak with your financial, investment, or legal advisors before making any investment or legal decisions. Furthermore, the opinions expressed in this podcast are not necessarily the opinions of SATC Solutions Center, SATC Law, or any of its employees. This podcast is created by the hosts and guests' individual capacities. All opinions on this podcast are or have been rendered based on specific facts, under certain conditions, and are subject to certain assumptions and may not and should not be used or relied upon for any other purpose, including but not limited to, or use in or in connection with any investment purposes or legal proceeding.